Arthur, are you ready, Freddie?
Oh, I'm ready. I've been called a lot of things, but not Freddie. I've been called Fonzie for Fonzarelli by a good friend of mine. Yes.
That's
For
hilarious.
for some reason, Tassinello, the last name. So when I first met him back in the 80s, he says, "Oh, Fonzarelli." And he started. And so now every time I talk to him for the past, 40 years now, it's like, "Hey, Fonzie, how's it going?"
So what I want to get into with you, kind of, we're going to have some fun today, but I think a lot of people know you as, I guess, Dr. Love. I've heard that. The
Right.
Love Doctor. Am I right?
Yeah, that term got coined actually from my Toastmasters meetings. So I'm a Toastmaster, and I've been doing that for 12 years. And then because every time I spoke, it was something wrapped around love, right? Something that some of the virtues that we talk about, empathy and gratitude and giving and care and compassion, all that stuff. And so every time I would do a speech, I just got labeled as, "Oh, Dr. Love." And so I'm okay with that, except for the fact that there was a fake doctor who called himself Dr. Love, who, well, I don't know if he went to jail, but went to court because he was misdiagnosing people. So I went, "Oh, I like the name Dr. Love, but I hope people don't think I'm that guy."
Yeah. I call you the Love Whisperer.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was going to make that the title. I'm swinging this thing back and forth because I was going to. So let me put this over here. I don't know how the audio, this should be fine.
It's
but
fine.
A lot of people know you as an author.
Yes.
You were kind enough. So this is one of your books, 21 Days to Love.
Oh.
I love it. It's also, you got some things in here you can not only read about it, which I've gone through many times. You also have some things in here where, you help others. So it's kind of a.
Yeah. And that's kind of, so that was the reason why I did the last book I just did, which is actually a workbook, which is called, I gave you both. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm ready for you. Yeah, you signed it as well for me.
I forgot I gave you that one too.
Yeah, and then you had somebody else help you with that, right?
Yeah, so she's a psychotherapist. And what I liked about working with Maureen is that she added some dynamics and questions, deep questions that I would normally not ask people.
Yes.
So, and the other great part about it is I learned so much from her while we were doing the book. Yeah. And I went, wow, this has improved my life more. It was a magical combination. I loved working with her. She's a great person.
You've done 3 books. These are just 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
What was
the other one?
Your first?
The other one is called Quantum Shift into Greatness. And that was my first book. That was back in 2009. And I wrote that one for lots of reasons. I mean, at that point in my life, I had just lost my general contracting business.
This in 2009 or what time?
2009, yeah.
Okay.
It was the whole housing thing going on. So I lost my business. Right. I lost my house. I lost my wife. And I also had, it wasn't really a heart attack. My heart was good, but I had a lot of cholesterol issues. So I had to have open heart surgery. So if you can imagine, in 1 year, to be devastated with all of that stuff, and I'm reaching out to God now, and I'm going, "Hey man, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What do I need to do? What do I need to change about my life?" And while I could have resurrected my business, there was something that said, don't do that, because I'm a 24/7 guy. Whatever I'm doing, I'm working at it 24/7. That's just me. I keep going. So anyway, because of that, I wound up, I say, channeling this book. And I did it for me, but also because I wanted to help people connect science and spirituality. I don't know if I did a good job at it or not, but I wanted people to see that, when you talk about certain science and you talk about spirituality, and this has nothing to do with any one specific religion, but you talk about spirituality, I just want people to get connected that there's something greater out there. Well, I believe in God, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say there's something greater out there. I know it, I believe in it, and I believe in it because of all the incredible things that have happened in my life that I was saved.
Wow. Yeah. You always come from a place of love. That's kind of your thing, right? I mean, let's call it for what it is. Does that really sum it up?
Yeah, it really does. And it's taken me a long time to get there and it's hard to describe sometimes, Rich, because it is so heart-centered. I have to, there's a proverb, and I'll just share this proverb. Your audiences maybe have heard it. Some people haven't. But it says, watch your thoughts because they become your words. Watch your words because they become your actions. Watch your actions because they become your habits. Right. Watch your habits because they become your character. Watch your character because it becomes your destiny. And so that's what I take fully 100% responsibility for me, my actions, my thoughts, because before I speak, I want to think about what I'm going to say, because we're so easy to have a reaction to something.
Of course.
Right. I grew up in a home that was loving yet difficult, because my folks, I call them the Bickersons. It's in my book. They bickered all the time. So I had to grow up with anger issues. I grew up with the chip on my shoulder, all of these things. And I had to transition myself, and I say thank God, literally, for allowing me to be able to see differently, myself differently, which means that every time I see something differently about me, I can see something differently in somebody else and try to navigate through this in the best way I know possible. So love is my core. Love is my foundation.
Yeah.
And it's taken me decades to get to that place. But every time I don't even know how to describe it sometimes. It's like this burning fire right here in the middle of my chest that says, I love you, I care about you, I care about myself, and I want all of us to have great relationships, period.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people don't realize too, I think, is they don't look at themselves a lot of times, their behavior in relationships, and that could go for whoever you're with personally, or friendships or family. They're usually kind of pointing the finger at everybody else on how they behave, not realizing how they behave. But I think maybe growing up in an Italian household like yourself, there's so much love, right? And so much of that foundation of I got your back, I love you, and all those, very affectionate. And then all of a sudden, I don't know about yours, but then there's an explosion. And on the other end, there's a lot of fighting, screaming, arguing, physical fight. Like it's so extreme a lot of times where you get confused. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're younger, because you could have family members that love each other and literally the next day not talking to each other for long periods of time, or you'll see them screaming or yelling. And it's a part of their affection. I get it. But sometimes I think they don't realize not only the effect it has on them and whoever they're treating that way, but everybody else around them and their surroundings.
Yeah. I had one of my mother's sisters. And I loved her to death. I mean, she always treated me so well growing up, but she had always the attitude of whatever she said, whatever she thought, she was 100% right. And if you went up against that, you might as well just get beaten to a pulp at that point. But again, how do you have that combination of such love for somebody, yet you're willing to beat them up because they don't believe how you believe, right?
Well, isn't it that way now? If a lot of people, let's call it for what it is, with politics to a certain degree, I'm not going to talk about politics, but if you don't believe on one side or the other or certain issues, all of a sudden everyone's judging one another. It could be family members, again, friends, even though when you're, again, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriends, are you not, like, people have gone overboard a lot of times regarding judging. Because let's face it, you know, no one is perfect and we all have different beliefs and thoughts, and you have no control over anyone else. But let's have some compassion. And there's a reason why they believe in what they believe in. Usually it's not bad. I think for the most part, people believe in certain things. It may not be your belief, but I do think it comes from a good place a lot of times, but we immediately want to condemn them. We immediately want to embarrass them or argue with them or out them on social media or make them feel bad. I don't understand that. And that's the one thing I don't like, regardless who it is, unless if you're physically hurting, you know, or doing something.
Different story.
That's a whole different story. And you're also verbally out there, you know, trashing people constantly or whatever. I don't go for any of that bullshit. You know what I mean? But I do think for the most part, the people we deal with, they mean well. But a lot of people immediately think it's bad.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And that is, we have our belief system based on so many things, right?
Yes.
Family, friends, school, teachers, news. And so you grow up in a certain environment and your beliefs are what you take in.
Yes.
So if you don't go and try to reach out, I like to say, go see dissenting information, right?
Yeah.
You're talking to me and I'm going, hey, Rich, yeah, that's really great. And I believe that. But if I don't maybe look to the other side, to somebody else that believes differently than you, I only have one place to go. I only have one belief at that point in time. And it doesn't mean that you're going to wind up being right or you're going to find nirvana from this, but at least look for this science or this whatever religion or this religion, what this says, or what this politician says, or what this politician says, so that you can get different sides, maybe to make a better informed decision about what you're going to do. And I just want to key in on what you said, which is really, really important. The part of, we don't want to allow somebody else to think differently than we do. If you think differently, if you do things differently, you're the bad person. And that's absolutely not true.
Not at all. Not at all. I learned that too when I was younger, because I was going back and forth from Florida to Chicago a lot from a young age. I was doing summer schools in Florida and going to a Catholic private school in Chicago. And you kind of learn two different lifestyles. And the people in Chicago kind of, you know, making fun of people in Florida, and people in Florida thinking about how Chicago is in their perception, right? So Chicago is a place where people are getting shot and gangsters and all that. And then you're in Florida thinks that about Chicago. And then Chicago's like, Florida, it's a swamp. It's, you know, a bunch of rednecks and what the hell's out there? You know what I mean? They're whatever.
A bunch of old people down there.
Yeah, retirement and all that stuff. They didn't see, you know, what I saw, which I loved Florida. I also loved California, and I have family in California too. So I was going back and forth to all these places where a lot of my buddies from neighborhoods, they only knew the city, right? Or they only knew an Italian neighborhood or Italian restaurants, Italian food, Catholic, all that upbringing, you know, feasts, all that type of thing. But I was able to understand that there's so much more out there, right? In life, in general, different types of people, and they're not all bad. They're not all good either, but there's all different type of nationalities, as you know, all different types of religions, which a lot of us in our day and age grew up not knowing a lot of this, because let's face it, we were in certain neighborhoods, we went to schools with certain type of people, and we would travel once a year somewhere. It could be Orlando or it could be California or Arizona, and then call it a day, kind of in that bubble. But
yeah, it is. You're right. And we all grow up in a bubble until we get to an age where we can get out on our own, and we either go out and really explore the world, or we still stay in that bubble. I mean, I know people that I grew up with in high school that are still in the same town, basically doing the same thing, still with the same friends. Nothing wrong with that. That's good for them. But you don't get to experience more of life. You don't get to experience. I mean, I've been fortunate that I grew up in New Jersey. I lived in Manhattan. I moved to California because of business. I've in like 40, about 45 different states. So I've gotten to see, like when you say how they do business in Chicago, how they do business in Texas, how they do business in New York, how they do business in California. And it's different.
Yeah.
It's just so different that everybody has their own way of
living
things. Living. Thank you very much. Living. Exactly. Yeah.
I think I visited every state numerous times. I think the only one I've never been to, I think, is maybe Montana, but I've hit every major city in North America, just in general, especially Canada as well. I've spent probably a year in Canada, for not longer. And I think what I realized talking about love is it's when you get to learn about how other people are living their life and also learn about different people in general, it does open up a different type of love because you see how compassionate they are or just towards their family. And again, it could be religious, different views on that as well. But if you get to see that, you know, it's back to the bubble. If you're only around a certain type of people your whole life or do a certain type of thing, I get we love one another, but you don't understand, I think, until you really kind of get out there, not just traveling, but meeting new people and finding wonderful people, people that are inspiring you or teaching you things, even if it's going to different restaurants or different events or just different things that you start to fall in love with, different things that you never knew you'd love or you'd have compassion for, right? I'm just saying. So if I'm in Chicago and I went surfing when I was young, whatever, I'm like, I'm surfing. This is pretty unbelievable, right? Where I would have never had that opportunity if I was in Chicago. I'd look at them and go, surfers are stoners or whatever. But it could be many things, right? But here's the
they
thing
are stoners, by the way. No, I'm just kidding.
But when I travel, I usually I love traveling, but I also like being in my comfort zone. So if I'm traveling, a lot of times if I go to major cities, I find their little Italy because I want to stay in a hotel near there. I love to eat their foods, but I'm still open-minded to try other different things and again meet other different types of people. But that's where I think the love, the journey, all those things just change people. I think where if other people don't have those opportunities, I just don't think they learn as much, maybe about themselves.
Yeah. When we talk, of course, we're talking about love. I always come back to, there's two quotes that I like, two quotes. One is Gandhi, be the change you wish to see in the world. So, and I've noticed that when I change, my vision of things or people change as well.
Right.
Because I'm more invested in improving me. So, and how I treat things. And then most people don't connect this, but I connected this a long time ago, which is Ben Franklin. And Ben Franklin said, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. And what Ben Franklin meant by that is that why it goes with Gandhi, I'm going to be the change, but I can't force that change on you. And I can provide you with some of my experiences, my education, my information to help you maybe see another side, but I can't force you to change to match or to mimic what I do. And nor should I want to, because if you look at this and you go, imagine if everybody in the world thought the same way and did the same things, we wouldn't have anything new. Nothing would be created.
Absolutely. Yeah. We also don't realize what everybody kind of goes through, but also all the things that they have to offer us or teach us throughout our life. I don't care if you go outside, if I'm going to go meet a friend today or a mutual friend of ours, and I go to Starbucks, hypothetically, somebody makes me an amazing coffee, right? I'm just saying, I go meet my buddies for cigars. Somebody rolled that cigar. Somebody, if I have a beer with that cigar, someone made that beer for me, right? I have a server serving that beer for me. I have the guy, the owner who created this, this cigar shop. And then after that, we're going to all go out for dinner. Then we're going to be at a restaurant. And then all these people that do all these amazing things for us that we don't even know about. And they had love and compassion for creating those things because they wanted to help or serve people. I don't care if it's your mechanic. I don't care if it's a teacher or whoever the hell it is. People underestimate how much love and compassion they have to help one another. And it's not always just about making money. I get a lot of people like, oh, they own this because they just want to make money off you. Well, they also took a high risk to do that. Also, to maintain this, takes a lot of time and effort from a lot of people. So when I look at people a lot of times, I wrote that in one of my books, is like, I look at somebody, and because I think in my past, I had a bad attitude towards anybody who kind of got in my way. And that worked for me for a long period. Like, if
We match.
yeah, it was more, search and destroy, because I wanted all this money and I wanted this, this type of body, and I wanted this and it was working. I'm not going to say it wasn't, but then I had a flip to say, you know what? I don't personally like the way I behave, but it was time just to take an entirely different approach and look at everybody as my friend instead of my enemy. And it's, and more like looking at this person saying, this is a man could be a husband, he's a brother, he's a father, he's a, whatever he is, a cousin, he's a best friend to other people. I would just dismiss most people if they didn't do what I said, if I was out or did what I wanted, or did, if it was business, if we didn't get it, like, kind of just shuffle everybody away. And then you wonder why a lot of times, you got your close friends, but you start to realize, hey, I have a problem with a lot of people, and I'm the problem. It's the way I'm approaching things, right? I'm like, even in relationships with, if you're married or whatever, you're like, I'm having a lot of problems in relationships. I can't keep blaming someone else. I'm again the problem. It's my attitude or the way I'm approaching this. I'm not kind a lot of times. I'm not considerate. I may be moody. But you may have gone through the same things, and that's why with your books or what you teach, which I want to get into before we forget here. Tell me this though. You have What's Wisdom Cafe. You're a CEO to that. What is that specifically?
Wisdom Cafe specifically is a Facebook page, right? And why I created that is because I have found a lot of wisdom in life, and it's not like I have all the wisdom and I have all this magic, but I continue to search, to look for what works, to provide people with some nugget that can help them think differently. Right. And so if I talk about wisdom, faith, if I talk about truth, if I talk about anything, I'm trying to give you a sense of maybe two sides of it. And in fact, if you went to my regular Facebook page, Arthur Tassinello, I just posted something about twins in a womb. And I'd have to read the whole thing because it's long. But the point of it is that here are two twins in a womb saying, one of them saying, oh, there's nothing outside the womb. And the other one saying, well, there is something outside of the womb. And so they're having this discussion to basically point to, one of them believes that there's a mother and the other one believes that there's no mother. It's kind of like,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
There's something greater than us. And it's those kind of things where I want people to stretch. I want them to look at this stuff and go, oh, what's really, maybe that helps me in some way. Maybe it helps me think differently. Maybe it helps me with my relationship in some way. I deal with this so much in my head all the time because I am so invested in making me the best version of me that I can.
Gotcha.
So that, and it's not that I'm not out there to like for everybody to love me, because that's never going to happen. But I'm out there to make sure that when I talk to somebody, when I'm in any kind of relationship with them, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's 5 years, I want to do my best and to be responsible for a good relationship. Yeah, I can't expect anybody else to do that. I can't, because we've done this before. I've done this before. I know you've done this before. It's her fault. It's his fault. If they did this, my life would be better. If they did that, my life would be better, kind of thing. I grew up with a dad, which was the if only guy. And so I went the opposite way. If only I bought this property, if only I had a better partner in business, if only she did this. And I'm going, if only, that's screwed up, man. So I erased the if only out of my life, because which means that I've been in 24 different businesses, and I've done a million things, and I've explored here and explored there because I didn't want to be the guy that looked at my life later on and said, well, if only I did this. Sure, I may have missed some things for sure, but I don't want to be the if only guy.
Yeah.
And I want to engage people lovingly and with care and kindness and compassion and empathy.
Right.
Because that's the only thing. I'm going to share this with you real quick. So if you like math,
I don't. I'm just kidding. I'm going to be the wrong guy, but let's go with it.
So anyway, so Rich, you and I today, we go out and meet two more people, and we be good friends. We care about them, whatever that is, right? We're responsible for the action between us. So the four of us now, the next day, go out. So you and I are going to continue to do this. The other two people are going to continue. Then it becomes, the four of us becomes eight. Eight becomes 16,
Yes.
32, 64, 128. So by day 10 or something, we've reached maybe a couple thousand people. But do you have any idea how many people collectively we would have reached at the end of 33 days?
It's got to be unbelievable, the number when you start.
The number is unbelievable because it's more than all the people in the world on this planet. It's 8,560,000,000.
Yeah.
When people say you can't have peace and love in this world, that's impossible. I say, all right, it may be improbable because it's a lot of work and everybody has to do it at some point, but it is possible. So I have to go out. I'm going out all the time with the attitude is that I'm going to create as much peace and love in this world. And that means with every cashier, with every server, with anybody, with somebody that drives me someplace, with anybody that walks into my home, talking to you, talking to Jason, anybody.
Absolutely.
I still make mistakes. I ain't perfect at this, but I'm always working on this. And that's what I strive for. I want other people to work as hard as they can to create an amazing, beautiful, loving world. And I start to get choked up about this because that's how passionate I am about it.
No, when I try to help men meet women, a lot of times I tell them, you have to understand that it's not just about approaching the woman you like, which is fine if you want to, but it's building relationships and friendships with women, I should say. You meet a couple women, whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean you got to hit on them. You got to date them. You got to try to get in bed with them. You just first want to figure out, who are they? And it's not just them. Even if it's not them, I should say, they have friends that they may introduce you, to you as well. So you build friendships through other people. A lot of times it's not just that one person. It would be like me and you. I met a mutual friend and he introduced me to you. How wonderful is that? But I think a lot of times we're just looking at that one person. And it's not just always about networking too. I think a lot of us have been programmed to say, oh, it's only about, what can I get out of this guy? Can he help me market? Or he does this and I do that. Maybe we can both give each other business and all that. It's about building genuine friendships now. And I think that's something that's kind of overlooked a lot of times because anyways, one more thing I want to say. The twin thing, which you bring up, which is kind of crazy. Did you ever hear about the two twins that had the alcoholic father that ended up in prison for the rest of his life?
No.
I learned at a very young age, someone told me this story, and I always looked at life from twins. And it's funny you brought that up, like the two different approaches. You had two twins and they had a father then that was an alcoholic drug addict that went to prison for the rest of his life. So fast forward to the boys. Now they're both 21 years old and one ends up in prison, one of the twins, for the rest of his life. The other twin ends up very successful. So they go to the twin in prison and say, hey, why did you end up in prison? Why did you do all the things you did? He goes, well, look at my father. Look at my upbringing. Where did you expect me to be? So they went to the other one that ended up successful and say, hey, how did you end up successful? What made you, go after what you went after? He goes, look at my father. Why would I want to end up like him? You know what I'm saying? I learned that being an alcoholic and going to jail for the rest of their life is definitely not the answer. But the funny thing is they both have their reasoning why they ended up in the situation they ended up in. One is positive, one is negative, kind of. But I think a lot of us have these options in our life to either maybe blame our parents or blame our brothers or blame work or blame everything else. But the truth is, it's how you kind of look at it. right?
Yeah. What do you
Overall.
do with it? What do you do with that information? It's like, I had a very loving mother, and I learned a lot of love from her, but I had a father. He wasn't a bad guy. He
Right.
just acted in ways that didn't make sense. And it took me a long time to really understand that. And did I want to do that? Like the if only, did I want to do that? Or do I want to do this? And I chose the other.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he never got out of that mode. And so that was another reason for me to want to really, really change, to be certainly more positive about anything, be an optimist and not a pessimist, and just do stuff. Like, this what we're doing here. I was thinking while you were talking, the only thing I would like to see out of this, what we're doing, is that whatever we're talking about helped somebody else.
Absolutely.
That's all I care about. If something that you said, something that I said, changed their life to make it better, thank you, God.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, when you talk about your father, and I'll just bring up my great grandfather from Italy who helped raise me, right? I look at all the struggles that they went through, just saying, being born in another country, having to come here, and his programming, and then my grandparents or my grandmother, their programming, then my parents, how they were programmed, and then me, right? I think we sometimes have to learn how to unprogram ourselves, because we allow certain people to keep programming, us, and then we have a lot of problems. And we sometimes complain about it. Could be our parents or grandparents or the environment we were raised in, all these things. But the truth is, we're not willing to change our mindset either. So if you have a lot of problems, again, and I said before, you got to address them personally. You have to look at yourself first, back to love. If you don't really love yourself, and I know that's exactly like, and when we say that, we don't mean love ourselves like we're in love with ourselves. But if we can't even, if we can't respect ourselves, or we don't even, if we're not happy with, regardless what relationships we're in, our friendships, or we're not kind to others, we have to start with ourselves, because I think a lot of people want to blame others on how they were treated, and then in turn are treating people the same way.
Exactly. Yeah.
That
I got a little story for you, and it's a very personal story. And for me, it was just very impactful on my life. So at a young age, I'm following in my father's footsteps, right? That's what I learned. I got married at 21. By 23, we had a son. And 6 years later, we got divorced. So I'm a part-time dad. Well, part-time dad, living in New Jersey, then moved to Manhattan. I still would see my son. At 14, I moved to California. So I'm not thinking about, so much about him. I'm thinking about, I need to change. I need to do something differently.
Sure.
And it wasn't till he was 18, 4 years later, even though I would visit him in New Jersey or I'd fly him out. So I wasn't a bad father, but I wasn't a great father either, because I'm part-time and I'm considering more of me than I'm considering him. So at 18, now I'm single all this time. I'm not married. I'm not thinking about getting married. I'm not thinking about having any more kids because he's already 18. But for some reason, I don't know, something just came over me, and I'm by myself in a shopping center parking lot. And all of a sudden I look up to God for me, and I go, you know what, God, I haven't been the worst father, but I haven't been the best father. But if I ever had a chance to do this again, I want you to know it's going to be way different. So God in his infinite wisdoms goes, oh, okay, Arthur, I got you. I got your back on this one. So 2 years later, I meet somebody, we get married very quickly. She gets pregnant within the first 6 months of our marriage. And again, was I going to get married? No. Was I going to have any more kids? No. Right. But all of a sudden, she's pregnant. And so I'm traveling from California to Texas every week. leave on Monday, come back on Friday. And I come home this one night, and I go into the bathroom, and there's one of those sticks that say, you know, you're pregnant or not.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at this thing, I'm going, what is going on? I looked at this probably about 12 times trying to looking at this. Like, no, she can't be pregnant. That's what are you talking about? So she is. It gave me time to digest that. And then finally, when I came out of the bathroom, I came downstairs. She was in the kitchen. I hugged her and I said, congratulations to us. So because of the way I was and how I needed to change my life,
Sure.
I have been the most incredible dad. And that's not ego and give me lots of credit to my daughter, right? Because God gave me a second chance. And most people don't get a second chance.
No, a lot of people don't.
And I got a second chance, and I am so grateful for that to have. But here it is. You see, I was one way with one child, and I'm another way with another child. Sure. And my son and I have a good relationship, but it's not the same relationship that I have with my daughter. And unfortunately, probably will never be that way, but I always try.
Yeah.
Right? But I tell you that story because people need to know that sometimes you can have a second chance if you really want it. Yeah. If you really want to change yourself, and it is all about change.
Yeah, I talk a lot about that in relationships. You know, just because you had a bad relationship before or a bad marriage, right? Let's face it, doesn't mean the next one's got to be that way. And also, you don't want to carry all that baggage with you to the next one a lot of times, even though it's hard, right? Especially if you got hurt. But a lot of times, you know, it's not easy when relationships end because usually one is hurt more than the other. And if you're the one that got hurt the most, it's not easy to kind of, it could be a trust factor, it could be whatever. But it's, you know, I think when it comes to anything, I think we have to understand that we have flaws, right? And we are not perfect, regardless. Parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, friends, we are going to make mistakes. We want to learn from the mistakes. And I believe a lot of times make things again better or try to. Not also doing the same shit over and over again, because I see a lot of men and women dating the same type of person, doing the same type of things. And then they wonder why it doesn't work out or why, you know, all these different type of issues. Well, you're not willing to change. You're not dating or in relationships with people willing to change and kind of really respect one another and want to grow for the better again. Because we have to evolve and we're all going to evolve regardless if you want to or not. Things are constantly changing. You have to understand that. But if you're coming again, like from your place of love all the time, because I was just talking to my girlfriend about this, because a lot of us during COVID, I see so much fighting and arguing regarding, you know what I'm saying? If it's the vax or if it's a mask or if it's whatever. I did a funny reel on that, making fun of everybody doing that. But the truth is, where's love again? Right? Where's the love part? Like, if you want to wear a mask or not, I don't, it's none of my business, but, and I get some people on one side or another, if you want to get vaccinated or not, or get a booster or not, that's your thing, but I still love you. I want you to know, no matter what decision you make, and I don't want to get on a phone, because I even got on the phone with my younger daughter and we're arguing over, and I says, I haven't talked to her in a few days because she's been working. And I'm like, I didn't get on the phone to argue with my daughter. I want to talk about something, the future. What are we going to do? Where are we going to meet up? Where are we going to have fun? I got to take her to get a massage. Her birthday's coming up. I wanted a place of love, not arguing over something like this. So I think a lot of us do have to take a step back and understand we are going to have ups and downs when it comes to our emotions. And that's really being present to say, what type of discussion am I having here? Is it leading to an argument? Is it leading to something kinder? Is what I'm saying going to inspire someone, make them feel better instead of dragging them down, making them feel horrible about themselves, or, you know, whatever. So that's your thing that, you know, again, coming from a place of love. Is that the Buddha thing? Is that because isn't that like their main thing?
It's in really, love is the basis of every religious teaching. Whether, sure. You know, people will look at one religion, they'll go, oh, they teach this stuff and they're bad and all this stuff. And that's just not true. It just isn't true. At the basis of every religion, everything is love. God is love. That's the number one thing, period. And so I think everybody can agree to that, getting to your point of, I know people that have been vaccinated, haven't been vaccinated. I just say to them, you made the best decision that you could for you, because that's the way you felt about it. I support you in that, and I still love you and I care about you. So whether you got it or didn't get it, I care about you, and I want the best for you, and I want you to be healthy. You did what you did based on the information that you had, and that's it. That's the bottom line. God bless you. You're still my friend.
Right. I couldn't agree more.
It's easy and it's hard, right? It's easy and it's hard because we believe that especially in this situation, we believe that the decision that we made is absolutely 100% the correct decision, and especially in a health issue like this. And if you did something different, then I feel bad for you. I just like you. Why did you do that? You hurt yourself and all this stuff. Well, we don't really know that. We really don't. We can make assumptions about it because it's going on science is changing all the time. Science.
Absolutely.
I mean, what was the science in 1500 versus what's the science in 1700, 1900? What's the science in 2000? It's always changing.
Sure.
Discoveries, things are always changing. But anyway, about that, the point is, and you made it so well, just care and love about them, have empathy, have compassion, right?
Yeah, I just want people to get healthier. But here's the other thing. It's none of my business what a lot of people do.
That's right. It's not.
It's not my business to tell you what to do. I have a young daughter that had a liver transplant. My oldest daughter. My other daughter has type 1 diabetes. So throughout a lot of their lives and mine, everybody was kind of telling you what you should and shouldn't be doing with them, which is wonderful to a certain degree. But unless you go through it and live it with them, they don't understand what not even me, what they're going through, and then say the parents are going through. And that would be with you as well. If you said you had some type of medical condition or you had health issues, I can only give you what I know to help you if you are even interested in listening, but it's still, again, none of my business. Every decision you make when it comes to your body and your health, it's not my decision. And also for me to get angry, I think so many people get mad at others because of their decision-making, which if you have children, you want the best for them or your friends and everybody. But if it's the decision they're comfortable making, you hopefully will stand behind them, even though it may not be yours, in my opinion. Now, again, if you're going to hurt people and do things that we don't want that, but
yeah, that's a different action.
A whole different thing, but you want them to always understand. I think a lot of us at the end of conversations, it ends in war, or it ends like you're an idiot, even though you're not saying, or you're stupid. You don't know what you're talking. You don't, it's always that, like, instead of listening and saying, you know what, I want the best for you, regardless how this pans out. I don't care. I'm here for you, regardless what you do in your life. And I think if we take that approach, and that can go for if you go through a divorce, a breakup, even a lot of people that you may not even get along with, and it could be friends again, it could be whoever, parents, grandparents, whatever. We're not going to always get along. But if we leave in the right state of mind that we know that person loves us, they're always going to have our back. Think about that type of approach. And that's kind of how I want my approach to be, even with my kids. I don't want to hang up after arguing for 10 minutes about, certain things. That's what is on her mind now with me. No, I want her to hang up and think, in my opinion, that I love her. Can't wait to see her the next time we're together. We're going to have fun. We're going to go eat where she wants to eat. And we're going to have discussions. So let's get to you now, because very quickly. Because we haven't really talked about specifically what you do. I'm somebody who comes to you, I find you online, or someone recommends me to you. How do you truly, besides the books, you know what I mean? I get you have outlines that you help them with. I think you take a different approach. You're not just there to consult people. I think you're there to console them. Is that kind of more like it?
It's really both.
Okay.
My first approach is I really want to understand where you're coming from. And I want to help you find the solution, because my solution, while it may be clear to me what the solution is for you based on my experience and knowledge and understanding humanity and what I've been through. I can't, it's the same thing they said, be the change you wish to see. So I'm going to be a change, and I can't thrust my opinion on you. So what I try to do with people is show them, have them experience for themselves a different way of thinking about something.
Sure.
Right? Analogy, metaphor, whatever it may be. It's because I can't say to you, Rich, stop wearing those glasses, right? What? I don't like those glasses on you. Try another pair of glasses. That's not the way. Rich, have you tried, some other glasses that may enhance your look or something like that? So that's the kind of approach that I want to take. See, when even in my own businesses or working for other companies, my approach is always, how can we work together for the same goal? How do we work together for the same goal?
Sure.
Because we all want success. And success for some people is tons of money, and success for people is just happiness or whatever that may be. So where's the right combination of those things? One of the best positions I've ever had for a company was the director for strategic partnerships. And why I love that, was kind of like the same if I was running my own business. What I loved about it is I touched on everything. I was in marketing, I was in sales, I was in operations, I was in customer service, I was doing shows, so for me, it was almost like it was my company, and I'm trying to help everybody see that if somebody that's making a product for me, he's not making the product for me, he's making the product for my customer.
Gotcha.
So here's why I would like you to change that, because it'll be better for my customer. If it's better for my customer, it's better for me, it's better for you. So how do we do those things together? I've seen it, the VP of operations, the VP of marketing, the VP of sales, they're not really talking. This doesn't happen all the time, but it's like, I have my own fiefdom here. I'm protecting the operations end of the business, right? And then at the sacrifice of marketing or sales. So I know I went off on a little bit of a tangent, but I wanted to give you some examples of how I think that's going to help you, business or personal. I always look at things, people say, I need balance in my life. I say, you need harmony in your life. The difference between balance and harmony is this. Balance means that if I spend 10 hours working, I need to spend 10 hours with my relationship. I need to spend 10 hours at the gym. I need to spend 10 hours. So you don't have that much time.
Right.
So the harmony part is just like an orchestra playing. Each instrument plays at a different time, different notes, whatever that means, to blend that for a happiness, for something that's pleasing for the audience.
Gotcha.
So what you need to strive for is, how much time do I need to spend with my relationship, my significant other or my kids or my parents or whatever that is, to create a bond there that's fulfilling for both of us? How much time do I need to spend on my health so that I am healthy, whether it's working out or eating the right foods? How much time do I have to spend studying, enhancing my brain power so that I have more knowledge, so that I can be better, make better decisions for myself? So that's harmony, because if I spend 40 or 60 hours at work, I don't have that much time. I can't spend 40 or 60 hours working on each one of those other things, but I can give a certain amount of time to it, right? Maybe when I come home from work, my kids are there, I need to spend some time with my children. Doesn't mean I'm going to spend 8 hours with them, right? Because there's only 24 hours in a day. Again, it's harmony, it's not balance. Where do I want to spend my time? And how much time do I have to spend in each of those areas so that I am fulfilled?
Right. So let's just take the difference between me and you. I have men that come to me usually, and sometimes women, saying, hey, it's more identity or image driven. It could be from fashion, it could be from fitness, health and wellness, and relationship. But I kind of know where they're at. I'm kind of like, all right, I got a divorce. I want to meet women, right? Or women may even come to me, hey, I just want to take a different approach. Kind of show me some things, or let's discuss things on how you, whatever, with men. With you, how do they, like, what type of client comes to you? Is it somebody who's actually been to a psychiatrist already? That is it somebody who's not feeling whole, or is it relationship failures, or is it maybe people that are religious that are not, maybe feeling fulfilled? I don't, because I wonder what type of clientele comes to you. It's so interesting what you do.
Yeah, well, there's two types. There's the business person that maybe the owner of a company that doesn't have people that are, he doesn't feel like they're doing their job, basically.
Okay.
That's when it comes to showing people how to be leaders. And leaders is different than managing. When that term itself, the definition of manage is that I'm going to manage like building stuff, or I'm going to put these pieces together. Well,
Right.
you're really not managing people. What you're doing is you're trying to lead people, because a good leader will help you. In other words, if I'm your leader, and then, again, we can call it manager, right? But if I'm your manager, I should really want to help lead you to a better outcome, which is a better outcome for me and a better outcome for the company. I want to help you understand your job better. I want to help you do your job better. I want to be there for you, right? So I'm really, in a sense, a good leader is working for the employee. So that's one aspect. Helping people become better leaders, which fosters more camaraderie and better, but everything comes down to relationships.
Of course.
Every single thing comes down to relationships. How do you relate to other people, period? Right? Yeah. You can come at it from I'm the boss, or you can come at it from I'm your helper. Now, on a personal basis, you get the gamut for everything, but in most cases, it is my spouse or my significant other. I'll give you an example. So I was with these two people, and it was kind of the nucleus of all of these conversations are always about, well, if they did it this way, our relationship would be so much better. And it could be, in this case, it was, if they didn't listen to their ex, or weren't still so bonded with their ex, our life would be better. Or if they didn't do something, it's like, well, you can't do that. That's the way they live. That's what's important to them in their life. And so how do you now see their side of it? How do you understand why they're doing those things, not against you, but for them and for the other relationships that they have?
Sure.
And it really is, it's always about looking deeper and looking at the other person. I'm walking in their shoes, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah. If I can't walk in your shoes, Rich, if I can't understand why you're doing the things that you're doing and what's important to you, it's always going to be that battle. And it's the same way on the other side. Yeah. Because if I'm butting heads with you about something, Rich, I mean, why don't you wear a different shirt, Rich?
Yeah.
And then you're going to looking at me and like, well, I don't want to wear the shirts that you wear. I don't like those shirts. So then it's always a battle. So how do you get two people to see the other person, that their life is important, how important their life is, and why they do the things that they do, and come to some agreement?
Yeah. Compassion too.
Yeah. Compassion a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And did you ever realize a lot of times you may know somebody and you're like, oh, they're this or that. And then you find out they're sick. I'm just saying, all of a sudden your heart drops. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't know they went through this maybe in their past, or maybe they lost a child, or maybe they lost a husband or wife, or you all of a sudden have a different approach on that person, where you don't need that. You can always have compassion for people because no one goes unscathed.
Sure.
I don't care who you are. If you're older, most likely, let's face it, especially if you're older in your elder years, but they've lost parents, they've lost grandparents. Who knows? Again, they may have lost children. May have had an illness. They've lost jobs. Their company probably went under at some point or time, or they got fired, or I don't care what it is. We all, I think, need to have more compassion for others, especially if, I don't care if you go to McDonald's, I don't care if you go to fast food or you go to see your mechanic, have some compassion because of what they're doing. And a lot of times we don't care. We just want it to be our way, or we want it done a certain way at a certain time and for a certain amount of money. And I get it. But again, I have finally learned in my life to just respect. I look like a bulldog, like, especially if I take my glasses off. My girlfriend, everybody says I look like an animal a lot of times, but I feel quite the opposite, where I want to more or less be helpful when I meet somebody, or I want to make someone's day or compliment them, or especially if they're doing a good job. If they're doing a bad job, but again, if you make me a great cup of coffee, thank you very much, because you learned that craft again. And I have in compassion again. You think a lot of people are doing the jobs that they're doing because they love doing them. I know we have to do them for money, but as you know, a lot of people aren't working now because they don't want to be bothered. But then when they go out, they want things to be a certain way for them. So yes. We're going to have to wrap this up. We're going on an hour here. Tell people how they can find you, or else we're going to talk for the rest of our life.
Okay. So, the easy way is just go to ARTHURTASSINELLO.com or WisdomCafe11.com. Both of them lead you to my website, and you can set up an appointment there with me. You can go to LinkedIn. I'm still the same person, Arthur J. Tassinello. You can do all of that. But I want to leave people with this. Think about what you can do today, and really every day, but just today, to make somebody else's life better.
Yes.
One person.
A text, an email, a phone call, anything, even when you go meet someone. I'm with you 100%. It'll start making them feel different about themselves too, I believe, a lot of times. Go ahead. I jumped in. I'm done.
No, that's okay. So I guess there's 2 points here. One is, you don't know how much longer you have on this planet. You have no idea. We could get off this call, I could pass away right now. So for me, every day, I reach out to people and I say, I love you, and especially my children, because I want them to know that I truly love them, and I care about them. And I don't want it to be like, oh, I told you I loved you last year. Type of. That's one. Number two, go into any store and say something nice to the clerk, to the server, to anybody.
Yes.
Compliment them.
Yes.
Thank you for helping me. Hey, man, I love that shirt on you. Hey, you look so great today. I love your smile. I do this all the time, every day, with several people. I even do it to people that are shopping alongside of me. I make a joke or something like that. Like I was in the grocery store and a woman was picking up an apple. I said, oh, don't take that one. That's the one I wanted, with a smile, and I'm joking. But it lights them up. Somebody actually talked to me. Yes. Somebody I don't know said something to me. I know you want to wrap this up, but those are the kind of things that will improve your life and improve somebody else's life. And I guarantee you they'll pass it on. They'll do something nice for somebody else.
I say start off with a smile. How about walking up to people and just smiling at them, or nodding your head? I mean, if you start even with small things, I teach men a lot of times with women, forget hitting on them, forget all your nonsense, smile, say hello to them, say good morning to them. You can compliment them, but don't make it in a weird way. But I'm just saying, again, I have family members or friends who are always like, Rich, you're always complimenting people, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. Like they think I'm like, because if they have a cool outfit, I'm going to compliment. They got a nice car. I'm like, hey, that's a badass car. Again, you cut my cigar right tonight. I'm like, that's a good cut. If they light it for whatever, it's fun. I think we have to get back to learning to appreciate one another. I get life serious right now, especially during a pandemic, but that still doesn't mean we can't have fun. We can't smile. And, so 100%. That's it, my friend.
I love talking to you. I just like talking to you and chatting about these things, but also what I like about this is when we record it and it's going to get out there, somebody's going to benefit from this somehow. And
Oh,
that's
for sure. For sure. I hope so. Yeah. And I want to compliment you, my friend. You've been a wonderful person ever since I met you.
same
And
here.
yeah, I can't wait to see you. I'll be in South Florida. I've been going, but you were busy, and then they stopped travel because of, the outbreak again. So I
Yeah,
haven't been going to South Florida as much, but as soon as I do, we all got to have lunch or coffee or something
absolutely. And
again.
I know our friend Jason has something going on soon or wants us to see something. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but we'll catch up within the next few weeks, I'm sure. Lots of love to you. You're a great person. I really appreciate you. And
Thank you.
have a great day. Yeah.
All right. You too, my friend.
Thanks. Be well.